You know, events like these have a significance beyond themselves. They serve as historic markers of where a community is going and how its people see themselves. For instance, to visit British Columbia and Vancouver, even now, is to be reminded of Expo 86. Most of you will recall that World's Fair and what it meant. At a time when Asia was beginning to demonstrate its capacity to become a future economic powerhouse, that event put your province and our country on the map of the Pacific. That World's Fair showcased this part of our country, and we all remember the surge in investment and population that followed. But it also changed British Columbia. British Columbia became bolder, stronger, possessed of the shining confidence that is a consequence of success and so necessary to scale even greater heights. Now you're calling the world back once again in even more spectacular fashion. During the Olympic and Paralympic Games, 6,800 athletes and team officials, 10,000 reporters, and 250,000 spectators will gather in Vancouver and Whistler. By any measure, these are remarkable gatherings, yet a mere recitation of the numbers hardly do them justice. The 2010 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games has been an unparalleled organizational and logistical undertaking. They will be simply the most ambitious sporting event ever undertaken in this country. The work of the Vancouver Olympic Organizing Committee, in conjunction with its partners at all levels of government, federal, provincial, municipal, our 4 host First Nations, is itself a feat worthy of the ancient Olympiads that these games honor. Like the earlier Expo, this is a tremendous accomplishment. And also like it, we cannot yet know how these games will change us or what their legacy will be. But we do know this, ladies and gentlemen, that British Columbia has made enormous strides in the early years of the 21st century. It has grown exponentially, gathered economic strength, and become more important in confederation than at any time in the history of this country. And it is not hard to predict that in some distant year, when British Columbians reflect upon these games, you will see them as an affirmation of what you have achieved and as your point of departure into a new and exciting era. On behalf of the Government of Canada and indeed all Canadians, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the organization of the 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Games and those who have supported them, including those of you right here in this chamber, for a job well done, a job very well done.
Je veux aussi vous dire que tous les Canadiens et toutes les Canadiennes sont fiers d'être partenaires de ces Jeux, que ce soit sous la forme de l'infrastructure des lieux, de fonds patrimoniaux, d'événements culturels ou d'ententes de sécurité essentielles. Tous les Canadiens, par l'intermédiaire du gouvernement du Canada, ont fait des investissements requis pour assurer que l'événement soit de classe mondiale, car ces Jeux sont les Jeux du Canada. I also want to tell you that all Canadians are proud to be partners in these games, be it in the form of venue infrastructure, legacy funds, cultural events, or the essential security arrangements. All Canadians, through the Government of Canada, have made the investments needed to ensure a world-class event. Because, well, Vancouver and Whistler may be the staging grounds of the 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Let there be no doubt. As Premier Campbell said himself in December when we welcomed the Olympic flame to Parliament Hill, these games are Canada's games.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, while British Columbia will have on display during these games everything of which you are so proud, the thing that will be the most visible once our national teams and athletes appear on the stage will be BC's greatest attribute and its greatest asset, and that is that British Columbia is part of Canada. It is all of Canada that will be cheering our athletes on. It is all Canadians, from Kate Race to Nootka Sound to the men and women standing on guard at Alert in Nunavut, who will be glued to their television sets, not just cheering for our athletes, but feeling with them every step of the way. In this great striving among the nations that is no serious or less determined for being undertaken in a spirit of goodwill, Canadian athletes will create now the yesterdays that we shall all savor in our tomorrows, the stories of which we shall remind each other, the feats of courage, commitment, and fair play that we shall offer to our children and our children's children as examples when they ask, what does it mean to be Canadian? And when we answer, we shall feel that warm glow of pride, as we should, as Canadians. Patriotism, ladies and gentlemen, patriotism as Canadians should not make us feel the least bit shy or embarrassed. I know that thoughts of grandeur or boisterous displays of nationalism we tend to associate with others. And I also admit that over the centuries, things have been done around the world in the name of national pride or love of country that would have been better left undone. Yet we should never cast aside our pride in a country so incredible, in a land that we are so fortunate to call home merely because the notion has sometimes been abused. There is nothing wrong, and there is much that is right in celebrating together when our fellow citizens, in this case our athletes, perceiving some splendid star high above us, willingly pay the cost and take the chance to stretch forth their hands and try to touch it for that one shining moment. For no good thing is without risk, and no ideal can be reached without sacrifice. Ask any Olympian who wears the maple leaf. But that maple leaf, we realize, symbolizes more than just the athletes who wear it. It symbolizes the country we love. It symbolizes the Canada, our Canada, that has shown even during this global recession and will show during these games that it can compete and can win against the very best in the world. It is the Canada, our Canada, whose other citizens who wear the maple leaf, our armed forces, served and have served the world over, never for conquest or advantage, but simply to spread our gifts of freedom, democracy, and justice, to make the world a little safer, a little better, as they are doing in Afghanistan today, or to give some hope to others and to rescue our fellow citizens, as they have done so spectacularly in Haiti.